Beer consumption generates almost $6 billion in tax revenue every year for the Canadian government. The beer economy employs 163,000 Canadians across all provinces. It accounts for almost 1% of national GDP. This is according to a new report that tracks just how much a purchase of one bottle of beer spurs the overall economy. John Sleeman is founder and chair of the Ontario-based Sleeman Breweries. Great to have you with us.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
So I guess I want to just take a step back and start with why the report was sort of done at all. Why did we want to find out how important beer is to the overall economy? It turns out it's very important.
Well, Amanda, it's been many years since even the internal studies that the Beer Association were done. And as the beer companies grow across Canada, we just felt it was time to have an independent body do some research to tell us where we fit into the system. I mean, everybody is interested in beer, from parliamentarians to consumers to tax people. But we really didn't have updated information on where our economy, where our business fits inside the economy.
John, let's go to 30,000 feet and talk about this industry, because one of the big challenges it has, and I'm an investor looking at it all the time, is it's basically flat. Beer growth is anemic, whether you look at it on a dollar basis or a volume basis. So let's tackle that problem first. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm a guy in my 50s. I care about my Adonis body. I got to keep it in shape. I haven't had a beer in years. I drink vodka and sometimes wine. Is that your problem in the industry? You lost me as a customer?
Well, Kevin, I wish I could blame all of our problems on you, but I can't. Certainly, as the baby boomers age, our drinking patterns change. But one of the things we need to do as an industry is, as you may change your consumption habits to something other than beer, or beer but less often, we need to make ourselves attractive and interesting to new consumers who are coming into the segment. And for many years, we haven't done a very good job of explaining the health benefits or why it's a great idea to have a beer instead of a vodka or a whiskey or something when you're in your 20s at university. And so one of the reasons we did this study is to find out who our consumers are, how important we are to the economy, and how do we make ourselves relevant. I mean, if you want to keep your Adonis body, maybe you need to think of a light beer. We have light beers. We have low-carb beers. But as an industry, we've done a pretty lousy job of telling people about those things. And so that's something that we need to start working on.
In terms of how the industry works, how much of it is domestically produced? I mean, what's the advantage we have of not having things outsourced offshore to cheaper locations?
Well, about 85% of the beer that is consumed in Canada is produced here in Canada. We have great local suppliers, whether it's the barley from Western Canada or our ability to have our bottles made here or packaging. The vast majority of the items that go into making a bottle of beer are produced in this country, so we're creating employment for people here. Now, certainly there are imported beers that come from other parts of the world which help create interest, and small brewers are also creating interest. So we're seeing a change. I'm sure you've noticed a lot of new small brewers coming along. That's great for the industry. These people are going out and making themselves interesting to consumers, and so maybe with a little bit of help we can get these people back from the vodkas and the wines and be excited about trying beer again.
Well, on that note, as an investor, I've been shown at least 3 deals in this calendar year of these microbreweries, and my question remains the same, and you're the right guy to ask this question of. Distribution is a nightmare. They're all regional. They can't seem to get national distribution. Is this an industry now that's so consolidated that the idea of getting a national distribution, like Sleeman's did at one time, is virtually impossible unless you have hundreds of millions of dollars to spend marketing, which I'm not going to do as an investor. That seems too risky.
Well, you know, Kevin, one of the issues is, and to your point about Sleeman, when I restarted my grandfather's business, it was a Guelph-based business. I wanted to sell beer across Canada, and I realized shipping interprovincially between various liquor boards, it can happen, but it's a challenge. So I looked for the best small brewers across the country and get them to become part of the Sleeman Group and to make our beer and their beer. And you may find that small brewers start resorting to the same thing, because we still have some challenges shipping interprovincially between the various provinces. And yet there are some great beers in Alberta that people in BC or on the other coast in Halifax would love to have. But you're right, it costs money to get the attention, and it costs a lot of money to ship the product that kind of distance.
So you mentioned some of the kind of diversity of the offering. We don't have a ton of time here, but how innovative is this industry? How many new products come out to try to keep up with those new younger tastes?
Well, you know, many years ago there were maybe 900 kinds of beer available. or brands. Then a few years ago, around 2010, it went to, I think, 17, 18, 1900 brands. Now it's over 2,000, and we have a lot of thanks need to go to the small brewers because they're innovative. They're creating interest, and the small guys are making the medium-sized guys like Sleeman and the larger guys like Molson Labatt sit up and take notice. We have to be interesting to our consumers, and we're all going to try and do that.
All right, we'll leave it there. John, great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.